Welcome to this video on the morphology of ulcerative colitis. I have already discussed about the pathogenesis in my previous video. I'll be discussing only about the morphology of the ulcerative colitis. Now, as we have already seen that ulcerative colitis is a type of inflammatory bowel disease, and the type of the inflammation, it involves only the mucosa and the submucosa, and the way it involves the colon is it involves in a continuous fashion, and the thing is it involves only the colon. Unlike the Crohn's disease where we have the involvement of the colon and the small intestine also, in ulcerative colitis we don't have the involvement of the small intestine. The inflammation is limited only to the colon, and as I told you, it is a continuous fashion. We don't have any skip lesions as we see in the Crohn's disease. And the age is, it begins in the early adult life with a peak incidence in the third decade, and both males and females are equally affected. If you remember the Crohn's disease, it shows female predominance, but here we have both males and the females which are equally affected. Now, as I told you, it involves only the colon, and the involvement is also in a fashion where first it involves the distal part of the colon and then the infection spreads proximally. So, as it involves the whole colon, we call the condition as pancolitis. When it is involving all the parts, ascending colon, descending colon, transverse colon, rectum and everything, then we call it as a pancolitis. So when the patient has the pancolitis, there will be the spread of infection to the ileocecal junction and also a part of the ileum. That will be limited only within the 25 centimeters from the ileocecal valve. So when we have the involvement of the ileum along with the pancolitis, we call it as backwash ileitis. Other than this, we don't have involvement of the small intestine at all. Now, when we see grossly the part of the intestine which is affected, we have a broad-based ulcers. So what you are seeing all are the broad-based ulcers. This is the characteristic feature of the ulcerative colitis, and in between these ulcers we have a pseudopolyps. A polyp-like projections will be seeing the mucosal projections, and these mucosal projections are nothing but they are the islands of regenerating mucosa which will be protruding on the surface and which appears like the pseudopolyps. Now, in some cases, the tip of the pseudopolyps, they will join together and they are called as a mucosal bridges. This is what we see in the inflamed part or the part where we have an active disease. But when we see the healed part, we have complete mucosal atrophy and there will be flattening of the mucosa. We don't find any mucosal folds at all in the healed lesions. So grossly what we have to remember is broad-based ulcers, pseudopolyps and the mucosal bridges with the mucosal atrophy in the healed lesions. Now these are the gross photographs. If you see this segment of the intestine, this is the part which is affected. Now the affected part appears more reddened and granular in appearance, whereas the healed part on this side, it is very smooth and it has undergone the atrophic change. This is the healed part which is showing atrophy. And these are all the pseudopolyps which are bulging above this mucosal surface. And these are the bridges, what I was telling you previously. The tips of the pseudopolyps, they join together and we get the mucosal bridges. Now the microscopy, coming to the microscopy, what we see is that first is the distorted crypts, like what we were seeing in the Crohn's disease. Also we have the distorted crypts. Here also it is the same feature, distorted crypts. But the important feature is in the crypts we see the crypt abscesses. Crypt abscesses means nothing but we have the collection of the neutrophils in the lumen of the crypts, that we call it as crypt abscesses. Along with the crypt abscess we have cryptitis also. The cryptitis means we have the infiltration of the neutrophils into the epithelial cells, so that we call it as a cryptitis. So we have cryptitis, crypt abscess, distorted crypts. And another important feature is we have a broad-based ulcers. Now, if you remember the Crohn's disease, they are fissuring ulcers, deep fissuring ulcers. But here we have the broad-based ulcers which will be extending only up to the submucosa. They involve only mucosa and submucosa, not more than that. And some of the glands, they may show dysplasia also. That's why when we are reporting the condition, we give it as low grade dysplasia or it's a high grade dysplasia, because ulcerative colitis has more chances of developing the malignancies. So it's better to mention what type of dysplasia the lining epithelial cells is having. And another the important feature is we have a band of lymphocytes and the plasma cells in the lamina propria. This is the feature of inflammatory bowel disease. So these are the features microscopically what we'll be seeing. We see the distorted crypt architectures, cryptapsis, cryptitis, ulcers and dysplasia. Along with that, we have a band of lymphocytes and plasma cells. Now this is a micro photograph. So you are seeing this is a crypt, and in that you have the collection of the neutrophils, what we call it as cryptapsis. And here we see the infiltration of neutrophils into the epithelial cells, what we call it as cryptitis. That was about the microscopy. Now the clinical presentation, how the patient will present is he will have attacks of bloody diarrhea with stringy mucoid material, and he has a severe lower abdominal pain and the cramps which will be relieved by the defecation. This is the classical presentation, and the patient will have the relapsing periods. Some periods he will be asymptomatic, later on again he has the relapse of the condition. So it goes on the clinical presentation. Now, then what are the complications of the ulcerative colitis? The one of the most important complication is a toxic megacolon. Now, this toxic megacolon is because of the inflammatory mediators which are released by the inflammatory cells, which infiltrate in the region of the ulcerated mucosa. So these inflammatory cells, they release lots of mediators which will cause damage to the ganglion cells and also the muscle. So when the muscle is damaged, the accumulation of the gas in the feces, it will cause the distension of the colon. So that distension, we call it as a toxic megacolon. And one of the complication of this toxic megacolon is it can perforate also. So perforation is one of the complication of ulcerative colitis. Another important complication is primary sclerosing cholangitis, then osteoporosis. And as I told you, the patient will have the dysplasia. So that dysplasia we have to mention because there are the increased chances of developing the malignancies. The patient can develop the carcinoma. Now the extraintestinal manifestations also we have which are similar to the Crohn's disease. So we have arthritis, that is migratory polyarthritis and ankylosing spondylitis. Then the skin manifestations, we have erythema nodosum, pyoderma gangrenosum and skin tags. And the bones involvement, the bones may show osteoporosis, osteopenia and osteomalacia. Then eyes, the patient can have the uveitis, keratopathy, episcleritis and dry eye. Till here it's because of the immune reactions what is going on in the body. And in the kidneys, the patient may have the renal stones, hydronephrosis, glomerulonephritis and amyloidosis. Most of these things are because of the treatment what the patient is receiving. Once that you stop the treatment, this can revert back also. And liver also, we have fatty liver disease, hepatitis and gallstones and primary sclerosing cholangitis. So in the extraintestinal manifestations, most of the manifestations are because of the immune mediated reactions, what is going on in the other organs, or it can be because of the treatment given to the condition. So once you stop the treatment, the conditions which are because of these drugs, they will again revert back. Okay, so these are the extraintestinal manifestations. Now the treatment and the prognosis is we can give a medical therapy. Then if the medical therapy is not working, then we have to go for the surgical, that is colectomy. Medical treatment is by the aminosalicylates, corticosteroids and immune modulators which will suppress the immune reaction which causes damage to the mucosa. Then that is initial conditions. And in the severe cases, they go for the colectomy. In 30% of the patients, this may cure the ulcerative colitis. But the thing is that part of the intestine is cured, but the extraintestinal manifestations, they persist. Because already the immune reaction has started in the body, so extraintestinal manifestations which are because of these immune reactions, they persist. And patient can relapse even after the 10 years. Thank you, friends. Thank you for listening patiently.